Coming up next is our next presenter is Sean Draper. He is the president of our Rotary Club of Northeast Edmonton, and he is our tech guru, and he also sits on our learning and development committee, and we're so thankful to have him on there. When things aren't working, he points us in the right direction, and he has so many resources and so many things. I'm not even going to take any more time from him. Sean, you've got the stage.
One of the things that I am surprised that nobody brought up in the first two presentations is the whole idea of, if you're in a Zoom meeting for an hour, it's always good practice to poll the audience and see if anybody needs a pee break or to take a bathroom break. So that's my tip. We've already decided that we are going to go straight through, so don't get your hopes up. But one of the things that I saw was missing, and that's a really important tip. If you are running a Zoom meeting and it's going to be a 2-hour Zoom meeting, don't leave your audience hanging for 2 hours. Give them a chance to take a break. And if you are going to give them a chance to take a break, let them know when and for how long. I have a ton of resources that I'd like to make available to you. And there would have been a link that was distributed in one of the attachments in the information that came out from the district. I had trouble finding it, so I'm going to put it in the chat window, bottom right-hand corner. I've created what is called a Padlet. This is, like many of the tools in my presentation, a free. I'm going to start my screen share here, and we'll hit Padlet is here. It is a free bit of software that lets you create online public discussion boards where you can put things like a question and answer section. You can put resources from the presentation. There's a link to the presentation that I'm about to give is here. The tools that I use to build the presentation, some of the services that I have leveraged to put together, some of the introduction, some of the interesting things that you're seeing, and some resources just from my club. I'm going to be showing you one of our club meetings. So I've put in a few of our club meetings, some visuals that we built around our club, from our club history to one of our international service platforms, to something that we put together for how our club approaches social media. There's also a section that launches out a Club Runner website development tutorial. If you ever wanted to take a look at your Club Runner website, I did some work with the Rotary Club of Edmonton Sunrise, and we redid their website and we recorded it. And finally, I've got a section in the Padlet that talks a little bit about the process of getting a not-for-profit account with either Office 365 or Google Suites that you can use in your own club, and it makes running your board meeting that much more fun. But without further ado, I'm going to jump right into my presentation. My focus is going to be mostly on running that weekly or bi-weekly or semi-weekly club meeting, but I think you might pick up some information more broadly about other kinds of meetings like board meetings or AGMs. And maybe you'll get a little bit of ideas around how you can manage your information at your club. But everything that you're going to see on the screen tonight, you will have access to in that Padlet, and you'll be able to sign up for a free account on Visme or Menti or any of the other tools that I'm using and play around with them. My goals for this session are to help you understand three things: platform, presentation, and promotion. There are a multitude of platforms out there, and online or hybrid meetings, they're here to stay. That's not something that's going to go away. Your club has got a lot of options to choose from, and some options are great, some options might not be so great, but there's things that I want to start getting you thinking about, and one of them is for sure capacity building in your own organization to say, geez, do we give our members enough tools to use the platform that we've picked? Presentation. There's a very famous quote by Marshall McLuhan that the medium is the message. Well, this is really, in this day and age, that's even more true. How you communicate your point, the platform that you pick to run your meetings and to communicate either in the presentation framework or the way that you're sharing your agenda, that's almost as important as the message, as the content of what it is you're saying. a member that's looking at a professional, neatly organized, well-run meeting, that has value. And a new perspective member seeing the way that your club carries itself, that's got incredible value. Finally, I'll talk a little bit about promotion. The entire purpose of your meetings is to communicate what it is that your club does and stands for. A good story is wasted if we can't promote it. So let's take a quick jump right now into platforms. And I am going to menti.com. I'm going to stop my screen sharing and I'm going to put into the chat menti.com. Actually, let's do www.menti.com. I'd like you to go there, menti.com. And when you get to menti.com, I want you to enter the following information. I want you to enter this code, 6486149. And you're going to see a question on menti.com. It's going to look like this. You're going to be asked, what is the main platform your club uses to host online meetings? And I've gone through and I've pulled out some of the most popular ones. I know our club uses Zoom, so I'm going to say Zoom, but there's Google Hangouts, Microsoft Teams, Cisco WebEx, Skype, Join Me, GoToMeeting, Other, or we don't have online meetings. And then when you're finished, hit the submit button. And that is not a surprise to me whatsoever. We have got 17 people answering, and the vast majority so far is Zoom. And we are quickly adding Zoom, 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 and Zoom. Zoom is a fantastic platform to use for online meetings. Zoom stock, gosh, I wish I had got Zoom stock back in the day. COVID has really pushed Zoom to the forefront. But does everybody in your club know how to do things in Zoom? Have you explored resources, training that you can make available to your club members in the event that they're not sure how this kind of thing works? I think it's it's only a Google search away, but to put in Zoom training for beginners video and to have a video that walks you through the basics of how to do Zoom for somebody that's really never done Zoom, really valuable. Send that out in a club runner email and say, hey, if you're worried about Zoom and you want to know how to maybe even use it for your own board meetings or for your own committee meetings, definitely it's your opportunity as presidents-elect to build capacity, not just in yourselves, but in your club, so that not only is it your club that's using Zoom for you're using Zoom for your meeting, your committees can use Zoom. Along that lines, I want you to think about who exactly has the account credentials. It's great to have access to Zoom. My club, I think we probably got 6 or 7 of my club members who have their own, either through their own companies or they have access, they've got their own Zoom accounts. Our club has an account that our secretary email, secretary@rotaryedmontonnortheast.org, is the login credentials. But if you are going to have a Zoom account, the last thing you want is for somebody to sign up for it, pay for it, and then be reimbursed by the club, and then have that member leave and take the Zoom account with them so that you don't have access to it anymore. It's not necessarily such a bad thing for Zoom, but when we get into the social media things, it really can be painful. So just looking across the spectrum here, yeah, very clearly, Zoom is by far and away the most popular. Google Hangouts, I know there's a club, Sunrise, I'm looking at you, that uses Google Hangouts, a couple on Cisco WebEx, and a couple on GoToMeeting. Interesting. I'm not overly familiar with them. I've been on the receiving end of Cisco WebEx and GoToMeeting, but I've never actually run them. Yeah, Zoom is a great resource. Zoom can cost up to $200 a year, and there are discounts available through the Rotary District for Rotary clubs. Zoom is far and away the #1 platform, but there's also two other platforms in Google Hangouts and Microsoft Teams. If your Rotary Club is a not-for-profit organization, I know ours is set up as a not-for-profit, you qualify for not-for-profit pricing on Google Suite and Office 365. My club uses Google Suite. We signed up, we went through TechSoup Canada, and we had to apply to be recognized as a not-for-profit organization, and then we had to go through a separate application for Google for not-for-profits, but we now have the complete Google Suite. We have as many emails that we can make for anybody in our club. There's a secretary, a treasurer. I have Sean at Rotary Edmonton Northeast. So you can create and manage your own email, but you can also create shared board resources. So we have a shared board drive that our board members have access to. We have folders for every monthly board meeting that include the agenda, the minutes from the previous board. They're all linked in a Google Calendar invite. When we go through our meeting and when we run our meeting, the secretary will go through, and as we're going through the minutes and somebody is assigned an action item, she'll highlight the thing that they were assigned and comment and say, at Sean, you just volunteered to do a presentation at the District Learning Presidents-Elect session. Get your stuff together and you have to do this by this date. And when you make that comment, Sean gets an email that reminds him that it's actually something that they've agreed to. So looking at Zoom is great, but you know, your club might qualify for Google Hangouts or Google Suite or Microsoft Office 365, and those platforms can definitely take your board meetings to an entirely different level. So in a regular Rotary meeting, we've got roles. You've got the president, who's the one that's front and center and runs and chairs the meeting. You might have someone that comes in early to set up the flags and put the signs up. The four-way test goes here. The Rotary Club of Edmonton Northeast meets here. Sign goes over by the door. You might have somebody that's going to thank the speakers, introduce visitors and guests, sergeants at arms, call to the buffet, all of these different roles that happen in a physical meeting. But an online meeting also has some platform-specific meeting roles. And you as president-elect, soon to be president, you're front and center. You can't necessarily be the one that has to do everything related to the meeting. Take some time, talk to your board, and figure out somebody that is going to be responsible for troubleshooting issues as they arise so that you don't have to deal with it in the middle of your meeting. Have somebody looking into the waiting room. If you use it, you shouldn't be worrying about the waiting room. Somebody in your meeting is a co-host that can do that. You should have somebody that's also making sure that people that are speaking with the hot mic get muted. You can mute everybody, and it's great Zoom etiquette to say, like we did at the start of this meeting, if you're not talking, mute yourself. But sometimes you come back from a breakout room and everybody's mic's hot. So it's always good to have somebody on mic mute duty, and also managing meeting security and have a plan in place in the event that somebody hacks your Zoom meeting and decides that they're going to Super Bowl streaker your Zoom event. Make sure that it's not the president who's probably focused on one other screen going through either the speaker or going through something else. Make sure somebody in the meeting has the ability to boot somebody quickly so that your members aren't staring at stuff that they don't need to be staring at. How are you presenting your club meetings? A club meeting is a story. It's got a beginning, it's got a middle, and it's got an end. How do you tell that story? And as I said at the beginning, the medium really is the message, and how you put your story together is almost as important as what that story is. Look at your club meeting as a presentation that really requires that organizing ahead of time. It's interesting to try to find that balance, though, between a meeting and a presentation. And there's a real sweet spot. Some clubs will do nothing but a presentation. There's a PowerPoint that we start at this slide, we end at this slide, thank you, good night. Other clubs have got the Brady Bunch screen, and they're staring at the Zoom meeting, and it's just one person talking after another. There are strengths of both approaches, and when layered properly, the effects compound themselves. It's great to have a fantastic animated, live, engaging presentation that you can step away from and go back to your Zoom screen and engage your members with, and have a break to say, wow, we just had a fantastic presentation from our new member. Let's welcome him to the club and let's go around the room. I'll start with you and we'll say a couple of things about ourselves and what our Rotary passion is. We did that in our last meeting. Or if there's been a real powerful topic that's come up, we'll break out into 3 or 4 or 2 breakout rooms randomly assigned and just take 5 minutes and let's talk it out, and let's come back to the big group with some suggestions. Modern versus traditional. We've seen, I think Gord was PowerPoint, Isabel was Google Slides, possibly. There's an entire spectrum of presentation tools, and some are more traditional, like PowerPoint, and some are hip, more modern, like Canva, or the one that I use is Visme. When I look at putting together a presentation, I want something catchy. I want something that's engaging. The little bit of movement doesn't hurt. The one thing that I would absolutely, though, recommend that you avoid at all costs is the wall of text. Keep your information to manageable bite-sized bits and use your bullet points to get you thinking and fill in the blanks instead of reading through the giant wall of text. Visual content is huge. People will look at images and graphics and infographics, and that will engage them. But if you are putting up a giant block of text and reading through a giant block of bullet points, you're going to tune people out. Visual content can also be reused outside of your presentation. Every presentation that our club has, we've got some of that content is going out and is going to our Facebook feed, to our Twitter feed. It's getting out to the website. Visual content is what engages Rotarians and prospective Rotarians. Finally, sharing your story. Our club uses Zoom, and we start our presentation. We do some in-house housekeeping things. We do the call to order. We do O Canada. You'll see a little bit about that shortly. And then we go and we introduce our speaker. But before we introduce our speaker, we use Zoom's feature to push this meeting to Facebook Live. And it takes about a minute or two, and it's a bit of a pain, but you watch my screen as I go through and I give the thing a title, and then I push go live. And then on the Edmonton Northeast Facebook page is a link to the meeting that you can then watch live in real time and ask questions on, or revisit down the road and see archived. And if you were to go to Facebook and go to the Rotary Club of Edmonton Northeast, oh, and hey, there's our new graphic, awesome. And scroll down, there's their visual content. We've got Polio Plus Games Night coming up. But here is our actual presentation from our last meeting. This is our new member, Jose, did his presentation, was outstanding. And then here's us going through the room after the fact, introducing ourselves and asking questions. This is all stuff that's automatically done for you in Zoom. What a fantastic way to share your story. So I said already that I was going to walk you through the way that my club shares our story. Apologies to John Nickel and Kelly Baker in the audience from my club. You will have already seen this because you saw it Friday, February 5th. I want to give you a walkthrough the way our club presents its meetings. We use a platform called Visme, and that's in my Padlet there that you can go. There are free levels that you can sign up for that let you do almost exactly like what I've done here. But let's take you through what a club meeting for the Rotary Club of Edmonton Northeast. We start every meeting by reading off our theory of change, that if our club provides leadership, fellowship, and meaningful service opportunities, engaged members will drive innovation and growth, creating lasting change across the globe in our communities and in ourselves. We jump right into our welcome. We did a welcome at the start of our meeting. I think it's important that Rotary clubs do that. We also do a bit specific to Rotary, as Rotary also has some language around being a welcoming environment. We call to order, and every time we have a meeting, we have a new version of the national anthem. Members in our club send me, I'll look up some of them. The national anthem that we had for the 5th was a nature national anthem, and it was really cool, but dedicated to the natural world of Canada. And cue the music, and don't forget, when you share your screen in Zoom, share it for video, optimized for video. We know the national anthem. We're not going to listen to the entire national anthem. We go to our next screen. We talk about February being Peace Building and Conflict Prevention Month. So it's something that every month there is a new Rotary theme, and I make sure at the meeting I highlight what that theme is. If you're looking for graphics around that monthly theme, the single best place to get those graphics, another Facebook find. Go to the Rotary Club members public image graphics and ideas hub. If you're not a member of this group yet, get there. It's got nothing but resources, visual resources that you can copy, paste, and throw to your own Facebook page, your own Twitter page, your own, yeah, there's just a, somebody's already animated the logo, sweet. I was gonna do that because I animated the Opens Opportunity one last year, but somebody already did it. I'll see if I can improve on it. So after we talk about the monthly theme, we do a quick welcoming of visitors and guests. This is a stock animation available in Visme. And we would stop the meeting at this point, and we would stop the share, and we would go to the larger group, and we would go around the group, and we would welcome anybody that's new, and Kelly Baker would talk to me about who is new in the meeting, and then we would say, hey, great, we're going to go back, and we're going to share our meeting again. Just go back into Zoom. I don't know where my Zoom went, but it is back. Thankfully, Zoom is back. So I will share my screen once again, and we are going to share this one. So you saw visitors and guests.
Yep.
That's excellent. We went from visitors and guests to starting the Facebook live stream. My little reminder slide. We have our introduction of our speaker, Jose, that did an outstanding job. He takes it over. He does his own slide presentation. We come back, there's a thank you slide, a little animation that says thank you, and we reflect on his presentation. And then we take a minute and we pause, and we take 10 minutes, actually it was longer than 10 minutes, but we did that chatting. We had everybody in the meeting introduce themselves to Jose, tell them what your background was, what your Rotary passion is. It's so important in this world of online meetings to take the time to turn away from the presentation and turn to each other. I know I heard coming out of the district conference, people loved the presentation. People thought the question and answer sessions were great. The speakers were fantastic. The whole thing worked really well. But I had members coming up afterwards saying, what I missed was the ability to connect with people, with that person from Fort St. John that I always get a chance to talk to after the meetings in the House of Friendship, or in, we meet and we have that personal connection. So taking time in your meetings to just either go into a breakout room and talk, or just in a larger group session, just talk to one another. Having the best presentation in the world is fantastic, but you've got to find the balance between TV show infomercial and connection capacity. After our Let's Talk, I do a segment called It Came from the Internet. This is my 50s horror movie sense of humor side kicking in, but I like to highlight anything new and unique that I see on the internet. And the one that I did for the Friday session, I don't know if you've seen this one or not, but this parish meeting in Britain was outstanding. They could offer a masterclass in how to run a board, hopefully for the session that we're going to do with learning development on how to run a board meeting. Somebody plays this. Oh, and it's not even giving you the audio. I was too fast when I shared my screen. I didn't share it with sound, and I didn't optimize the video clip. That's something that you've got to do. Share your sound, optimize the video clip. Back to my video clip. This is gold.
You have no authority here, Jackie Weaver. No authority at all.
She's just kicked him out.
I,
Just a minute. No, she's kicked him out. Don't. She's kicked him out. Don't.
this is a meeting called by two councillors.
Illegally?
They now elect a chairman.
No, they can't because the vice chair's here. I take charge. Read the standing orders. Read them and understand them.
Yeah, it's always fun to highlight some funny things on the internet. The next one that I picked was I was going to do a fairly in-depth talk about Wall Street Bets, the Reddit thread that was taking the internet by storm last week, where a bunch of at-home day traders decided that they were going to stick it to the hedge funds. So I actually, if I click on this, it takes you to that Reddit thread, and I was going to explain Reddit to my club, but we kind of ran out of time. So I just made it mentioned in passing. But the next slide I'm really proud of. The new Rotary presidential theme. My year was Rotary Opens Opportunities, and I really like that. But we had the new theme drop, and we're moving on. And the new theme is Serve to Change Lives. And it's a fantastic visual. I'm totally going to build a ukulele around that visual.
Sorry, Sean.
Yep.
Your screen is frozen again. Partway through the video of the parish meeting.
Thank you for letting me know. I apologize. I'm going to go back in. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just try one more time. I don't need to share or optimize for video. And let's go back into here. And let's go back. I did the Reddit thread. You don't need to worry too much about that. It's funny, this doesn't freeze when I do it to my club. There's got to be something going on special tonight. Here's my presentation on the Rotary Opens Opportunities theme. My year was the Opens Opportunities. Love the visual, but this year the new one has dropped, and it is Serve to Change Lives. And Serve to Change Lives has a fantastic image. Can we still see my visuals? Okay,
Yeah.
We are good. Awesome. Our next slide, we do a weekly update, leadership, fellowship, and service. So I talked about the president-elect training. I had the date wrong. I was looking at my date upside down. And I talked about the Peace Positive Club application and something that we'll bring forward to our board. We talk about fellowship opportunities. We thanked a couple of members for hosting a Robbie Burns night, and we had an upcoming games night. And finally, we do a service update where we call upon the community service chair, the international service chair, the vocational service chair, and the youth service chair, just to update the club members on what's going on in their portfolios and what's happened since the last time we met. We do a section on club announcements. I stop the screen share and we go to the full screen. I might have some announcements, but I call out to the club to see if there's anybody in the room that has some announcements to make. We do a We Care section, and one of our members is responsible for looking in on some of our members that we might have lost touch with, or anybody that's having any kind of difficulties, and we get an update at that time. We call attention to our coming events, what's happening next with our next meeting and with our games night. And then we do the four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And we play the four-way test video, which is also really cool. If you haven't seen that, great resource. I'm not going to play through it because for whatever reason, my screen doesn't like to play video tonight. And we end the presentation with a thank you slide to say this meeting was made possible through the hard work of a team of Rotarians. That is how we run our meetings. And you can check those meetings out on the Padlet, the 5th, the 20th, the 8th. They're all sample meetings that we've put up there if you want to take a look at them. So I saw this as a Twitter post somewhere, and I customized it a little bit for myself. I'd like to talk a bit about promoting, and the single best way for Rotary clubs, in my mind, to attract new members is to tell the stories is to tell our story better, is to get our stories out there. And we are fantastic at sharing our stories to our own Facebook page and our own district page, but getting our stories out there to the larger world, it's paramount. And there are tons of different bits of technology that you can use to get your story out there. So down the list, Facebook. Well, what is Facebook? Facebook is I like Rotary projects. And it's not only I like Rotary projects, but it's I like Rotary projects and I like to share Rotary projects on my Facebook page. Getting your members to like things is great, but if you can get your members to share your Facebook posts to their own timeline, all of a sudden you're no longer talking to the echo chamber, you're talking to the world. Twitter is, I'm doing a Rotary project. You use Twitter when you're out in the street and you're doing it, tweet hashtag end polio now, because we're in the middle of our polio games night. LinkedIn, well, but not LinkedIn, Instagram. Instagram is, here's a picture of the Rotary project that I'm doing. YouTube, here's a video of the Rotary project that I'm doing. LinkedIn, my skills include Rotary projects, leveraging your Rotary skill set in your LinkedIn portfolio. Pinterest, there's not really much there, but Pinterest is largely recipes. So here's a recipe that we did. Skype, call me about the project. WordPress, I'm blogging about the project. Google, I'm searching for a Rotary project. And Reddit, you can crowdsource ideas for your Rotary project. There's a ton of avenues that you can use to promote your club's story. And I wonder how many of those avenues we actually use. Well, I would like to go beyond wondering. If we can go back to mentee.com, there'll be a new question out there. And I would like you to answer the question, how does your club promote meetings? And here we go. This is what we do. And I know my club does Facebook. We post to the district page. We have a Twitter. We don't do Instagram or well, we have a YouTube page, but we haven't used it in a while, but we did use it. We just set up LinkedIn. We don't use Pinterest, Skype. We do Alignable. That's one that just sort of came out. And we do our Club Runner website. We do a Club Runner email. So I'm going to submit those. And let's take a quick peek at what the responses are. Oh, there we go. We are getting some responses. 23, 25 people are in, 26. That's a fairly decent number of us that are responding. And clearly, Facebook is number one. And that so should surprise no one. For our target demographic, Facebook is probably the place that we want to be. I'm also encouraged that I see some clubs that are also leveraging the Club Runner email and their own Club Runner website. You might as well, because it's part of the package that you've got. But looking across the lower ones, a fair fewer number of clubs are posting to the district site. You know what? It's an avenue to get your message out. And all it takes is the ability to click share. It's not a bad thing to do. Again, Twitter isn't as popular, Instagram not so much, couple in YouTube, me and somebody else. LinkedIn, our club just recently added a LinkedIn profile, and honestly, it's something I've been hoping that we were going to do for a while, and I'm glad that incoming President-elect Kelly Baker put it together. It's an important avenue to tell your story, but these are all ways for Rotary clubs to tell their story. And right now, we are largely telling our story to ourselves. If you look at the three biggest things, who is that going out to? Well, Facebook, you hope somehow gets around the wall of Rotarians, but your Club Runner website and your Club Runner email, well, your Club Runner email is definitely going exclusively to Rotarians. Club Runner website, you could have visitors coming in, that's good, but Facebook is largely targeted at your own members. You've got to start planning for ways to get your message out across those different social media channels so that you're not targeting existing Rotarians, you're looking for new members. So what is our club's digital roadmap for our meeting promotion? Well, the month before, we have a Club Runner speaker event is created, and whenever we create an event in Club Runner, we have an image, and I can't stress this enough. Don't create an event or a news story or a speaker without putting an image in. It makes everything look so much better. So the month before, there's a Club Runner speaker event that's been created in the site. The week before, we have a social media update, Facebook or Twitter, to say this is the upcoming event and here's the information on that event. I'm just going to pop open the chat window because I see it popping up here and I just don't want to miss anything. There we go. Would it be great if you could share this presentation, make it available? Yeah, that whole part at the beginning where I gave you the link to everything, it's out there. The week before, we send a Club Runner email to our members with the Zoom link. Also, we include a picture of the speaker or the logo. Again, visual, visual, visual. Make sure visual. The week before, we create the presentation and we rehearse it and make sure that the delivery is ready. The day of the meeting, we get a reminder email in Club Runner. We run the meeting, we make the presentation, and then immediately after there's any follow-up, it goes out in Club Runner through email. So, my key takeaways. Number one, yes, you are the president's-elect, and it is hugely important that you build your own capacity in understanding the technology that's going to be required to function as a Rotary Club in this world that we live in. But it's just as important to help your own club members adjust to this technology. And building club technology capacity is going to be just as valuable as building your own capacity. Two, tell your story and tell it visually. If you can't engage people visually, you're going to lose them. Use every visual tool your technology platforms have available. Three, share everything. Everything you do goes on your club social media feeds. Get your members to share as well and share on their own feeds. If you don't tell your story, who's going to?